think that's good. I think so. Now just wait a little bit. Let's make sure I'm live. La, 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 la. Hey, crap, I forgot forgot my water. Don't know if I'm going to need it or not. We'll see. All right. Hi, everybody. Better feeling weak, isn't it? Energy's getting better. Yep. I've been telling people, if you want to rock the boat, rock the freaking boat. So this whole last couple months that have been by, you needed to figure out your truth. So now it's time to pull into your own power, put some boundaries up, and move forward with or without them. Sounds awful to say, but that's where we're at right now. So fine. Biggest thing I'm going to tell you is, like I said, energy is awesome. Like I said, I know that there is still some, planets kind of retrograde a little bit. Don't sweat it. Now's the time to really kind of get up and grind and do what you want to, especially with your life. I will tell you that September's coming by, and it's eclipse season. And whenever there's an eclipse, eclipses are like snow globes. They shake things up once in a while, and it does that so that way you don't stay complacent. So it's better if you do it now than later. So it's way easier to do it yourself than have spirit help you with that. Yeah, just a little easier. So like I said, if you want to make some big moves in your chessboard, perfect time to do it. So I've been really encouraging people this week, just trust the gut and go with it. You don't need people's permission. You don't need validation. You've already had all that. So that was last month. That's what that last month was all about. So dreams are going to continue to be crazy. And that's because we have a meteor shower. Whenever there is a meteor shower, batshit crazy dreams. So, and people don't sleep that well. There is a new moon coming on the 23rd. And that one in particular is considered a black moon, which means that we have 2 new moons in 1 month. So, but I could tell you that it's all about new beginnings. Like I said, this is all about new beginnings, fresh new starts, go in a different direction. Don't worry about what people might say about it. Like, pull in your own power. It's time to just kind of rise. It's time to do your thing. So you don't need, like I said, that's a hard one, because I think a lot of people don't want to rock the boat and they don't want to hurt people's feelings, or they want validation or extra permission to start doing what they really want to with their life. And I'm finding out through the years that a lot of people won't do that because they're too scared of what other people might think. So, and I'll tell you what, that's one of your bigger regrets that you're going to have when you die, is not doing what you want to with your life. So, Stacy, I will tell you that she's asking about tarot cards. I'll tell you, I made some tarot cards up. They're called Lavender Dreams. They are literally the size of playing cards. And the reason why is because I don't like those big those standard tarot size. It's too big for me, hard to shuffle. So I came out with something called Lavender Dreams. It's a true beginner's deck, no inversions, none of that reversal stuff. And the meanings are right on the card. So it makes it really, really easy for you to learn. So I would tell you, check those out. You can get those at awakeningstore.com. So let's talk about this one. Krista's saying that she's having dreams about being pregnant. I will tell you, I like pregnancy dreams. I really do. What that means is that it's all about fresh new starts, new beginnings, trying new things. You're kind of entering into a new chapter. So I like pregnancy dreams. It doesn't mean that you're pregnant. It means that you're literally giving birth to new ideas, new concepts, and you might even be transforming yourself. So I like pregnancy dreams. Those are really, really good for me. So birth and death to me are the same. Change, transition. That's all what death is anyway. Same with birth. So it just means change or transition. That's it. Let's see. Is it okay if you shower and clean with your crystal jewelry on as long as you set it out to charge? Nope. Absolutely fine. Nothing wrong with that. So the only thing is that I have some diamonds here, and I'm not putting those out because it would be my luck a damn raccoon would come by and eat the son of a bitch. So I always put my expensive jewelry on the windowsill. I will tell you there is a lunar eclipse coming. I don't know if that's September, October. I need to look at that. But for me personally, I don't put my crystals out in an eclipse because it has a tendency to be really volatile. It could be really, really good or really, really bad. I don't take the chance. I don't take the chance. Can a narcissistic parent raise a narcissistic child? Oh yeah. Because here's the deal. A lot of times it's a learned behavior. It's no different than, this is where I kind of have to debate a little bit when it comes to things like depression, or even anxiety. If your mother is anxiety ridden, she's going to teach you how to be anxiety ridden. It's not that you have anxiety, it's a learned behavior. It's no different than somebody's depressed and you have a depressed mother. Well, she's teaching you how to think depressive thoughts. Therefore, you very well could think depressive thoughts as well. So yes, a narcissistic parent can absolutely raise a narcissistic child. So basically put a narcissist as spoiled rotten by the opposite sex parent. 9 times out of 10, not every time, but usually a narcissistic child, if it's a male, their mother spoiled them rotten. If it's a female, their dad spoiled them rotten. So that's usually what makes a narcissistic person, because they don't develop the sense of like self-worth, self-confidence. They don't have that. They have to search it outside of themselves because they never learned how to develop that. So it's quite the opposite. They think they have a lot of self-confidence, but it's actually the opposite. They don't. Mm-hmm. So why do some people remember or say they don't dream? People that had a lot of childhood trauma have the tendency not to dream. So, and if they do dream, that's usually when we need to start addressing some of the trauma, because that will start kind of coming through in dreams. So a lot of times it's because of childhood trauma. Or number 2, they smoke the devil's lettuce a little bit too much, because if you do that, you won't dream either. Hair loss and doesn't have a thyroid problem, then that's got to be, we have to look at nutrition. So my guess is that your body is taking on, it's absorbing nutrients quicker. And so if you don't have a thyroid issue, then we definitely have to look at the nutrition. And here's the deal. You guys are going to hear me say this a lot. We have Franken food for food. We really do. And if you're not at this point taking a vitamin, you should be, because there is not enough vitamins and minerals in our Franken food here that it's going to absolutely help you. So I'm going to highly suggest that one. What's the reason for frequent UTI in females? They're pissed off at their partners. Anything bladder related, you're pissed off. So in UTI in females, you're pissed off at your partner. And usually that has a lot to do with intimacy. And you're not speaking up and telling your partner what you like and what you don't like. And again, you should be able to tell your partner everything. And if you can't tell your partner everything, then I'm going to question why you're still with that person, because that person should be your number one person to go to when it comes to problems and issues and being able to speak about those openly. And there's a way to say it nice, and there's a way to be a butthead about it, obviously. But UTI 9 times out of 10 is due to you being pissed off at your partner. So what if you hardly get sick at all? Jamie, I don't either. And that's usually just because we're happy people. Happy people don't get sick. Happy people don't get sick. Thyroid issues is because you don't like to speak your truth. You have a hard time being vulnerable and really telling people what you want. You have a hard time telling people no. You have a hard time speaking up and saying, you know what, that really hurt my feelings when you said that. You have a hard time addressing conflict. So people that have thyroid issues have the tendency to not be very vulnerable or show emotion because that's scary. So, but thyroids are because you'll hear that you don't speak truth. Well, you're not speaking your truth. So that's what it means by that, not your opinion. So, Protecting yourself from other energies. This is a great question, Brandy, and it's very simple. Do the bubble trick. Sometimes we need a double bubble. So, but the bubble trick is saying something like, God, angels, please surround me with the white light of the Holy Spirit. And then you're going to imagine yourself in a big white bubble, and that really does help. Now, for my high empaths out there, along with the bubble trick, not a bad idea to take a salt bath, not Epsom salt. Now, Epsom salt's good for sore muscles, but when it comes to spiritual energy, I'm talking sea salt, pink Himalayan salt, any table salt. So any salt, and just take about a cup in a bath water and just sit in there for 10 minutes. Not only will you sleep good at night, but you're going to wake up ready to go instead of feeling absolutely drained all the time. So it does help to get rid of the negative stuff that may be around your auric field or within your energy centers. But then it also helps to recharge the batteries a little bit quicker after somebody drains you. Let's see here. Heart palpitations. Let's talk about that quick. So people that have heart palpitations, sometimes it's from solar flares. Sometimes it's from Schumann resonance spikes. But here's the deal. When your heart chakra opens really quick or really fast, or the opposite, shuts down really quick or really fast, your heart will actually have a physical response and you'll get those weird palpitations. When that happens, and it happens a lot, it's very common. When that happens, bear down and cough like, and it'll kick it right back into rhythm 9 times out of 10. Obviously it gets too crazy, see the doctor. But usually if you bear down and cough, it'll kick your heart right back in rhythm. Just understand if it continues to do that over a few days, then maybe there's ways we can balance and align the heart chakra, pink or green crystals, listening to 428 hertz, like on YouTube. There's sound. You could do it with, smells, scents. Rose actually is a really good one to help with heart palpitations too. So there's different ways that we can align and balance out our heart chakra, but that's usually the reason why. Somebody was asking, hang on, this one just went fast. Could a soul be in heaven hospital for years? No. I've never, like I said, the longest I've known a soul to be over there in the hospital setting has been 3 months. I've never really known anybody to be there longer. The only exception has what spirit has told me, and that was with the atom bomb. So when the atom bomb hit Nagasaki and Hiroshima, it took not only their soul fragmentized, like everything fragmented out. And that's why I'm like, I'm never worried about a nuclear war. They won't allow it to happen. It was so traumatic to a soul. They won't allow it to happen again. So like I said, at this point, 3 months at the most, So why does somebody feel terrified of death? I will tell you that is a normal and natural human thing to be kind of scared of. Same with fear of rejection or fear of loneliness. Fear of death is another one. And I will tell you, it is normal. It is absolutely, it's my job to help you with the fear of death, to have you understand your soul is eternal. It's just, you're just here in a body, in a really weird ass dream. When you die, you go back home. You can't screw up that bad not to go. Let's be real. So, but like I said, there's no point of you being terrified of death. I think a lot of people are scared of the pain. They're not scared of death per se. It's more they're scared of the pain. And that's where I'm going to tell you, that should be something that should be the farthest thing from fear. It really shouldn't be. Let's see. Oh, that's a good one. How to do salt in the shower. So Dolores, what I do is especially if I'm on the road, and because they don't have tubs anymore in hotel rooms, what I do is I'll take a little cup of water, put salt in it, let it sit, rinse, kind of stir it around a little bit, let it dissolve, and I put it right on my crown. So I'll get my hair wet, stick it right on my crown, let it go all the way down, then shampoo it out. So that's what I do for the shower. Salt scrubs also work too. Those count. So son-in-law kids went to visit the ex-murder house to take a tour. I will tell you that is a place that you will not see me in. So, and here's why. I'm a medium, meaning that I'm more sensitive. So I don't feel like getting kicked, scratched, hit, bit. I don't feel like puking. Like, that's just not, to me, that is not fun. And I will tell you, at that point, the axe murderer's house, yes, there are ghosts in there, but there is an oversoul at this point. And I don't know if it's demonic. I'm not quite sure, but I can tell you it ain't good. And so for me personally, I won't step foot in there. And that's where I'm like, again, why would I invite something negative in my life? I'd rather not. I'll talk to happy dead people, not creepy ones like that. Nope. No. The ear ringing, low pitch ringing in the ear is usually going to be your spirit guides on the right side. The high pitch on the right side is usually angels, and left side sometimes is your loved ones. Everybody's a little different, so you kind of have to figure it out. So the next time your ears ring, what's the first thing that pops into your head? What's the first thing? And I want you to pay attention to that, because oftentimes it's that first thing, and then your ego pops in and goes, well, and tries to all mess it up. So, brother recently diagnosed with bladder cancer. Oh, excruciating pain. Any simple remedies? You know what? Honestly, I don't have any off the top of my head. If you guys have any, help Rose out here. Tag her in the comments here. But I don't have any off the top of my head. But the biggest thing is, I would ask him, who is he so angry and resentful towards? Is it a child? Is it his wife? Is it a parent? Because we got to forgive that. We got to learn. We got to let that go. When we do that with forgiveness, which is not easy to do when somebody did you dirty. So ultimately, that's going to be a big one. So, if they terrify you, Holly, could be previous life thing. Can't rule that out. So maybe something negative happened in a previous life, where maybe when you were giving birth, or when something like this happened. Like I said, it kind of depends. So my guess is, if nothing negative has happened at this point in your life, then it very well could be from a previous life. So, what about losing a parent to pancreatic cancer? So here's the deal. Cancer, any kind of cancer, is resentment, holding on to resentment against another person. Pancreatic cancer, usually for me, is criticism. Somebody around them is very critical, or they're very critical themselves. And so a lot of times pancreatic cancer is I have to look at the partner and go, is the partner really critical? Like, maybe their perfectionism issue, or they're overbearing. But a lot of times pancreatic cancer boils down to criticism. So whether they do it to themselves, or they're mad at their parents, or they're mad at their partner, it depends on who. Usually 9 times out of 10, it's the partner, but I can't rule out a parent or a sibling. Usually, however, sibling rivalry, or holding resentment with your sibling, is usually colon cancer. Let me explain this one. Why would a person choose drug addiction? They're not choosing it per se. They're doing it as a coping mechanism. So drug addiction is because they had trauma somewhere in their childhood, and they don't know how to heal that. So they choose drugs and alcohol to try to cope with the trauma. And maybe they don't want to deal with it. Maybe they don't even know what their trauma is. But usually if they're drug addicted, it's usually due to one of two things. It's because of trauma, or they have a parental abandonment issue. And that's a really tough issue. It really is. A double abandonment issue from your parents is one of the toughest ones to have when you come into this world. It really is. Bonnie was asking about breast cancer. Right breast cancer is holding on to resentment with your husband, sometimes your father. Left breast cancer is holding on to resentment with something that may have happened with your children or your children. So let's see here. Explain to me what Sheehan syndrome is. I need to know what it affects. Is it the lymph nodes? Is it the muscles? And where at in the body? Because I'm not a doctor. I'm not aware of that one. So explain that one to me. How can you get the cemetery guardian to show themselves or interact? Depends on their personality. So every cemetery or graveyard has a guardian to that cemetery. Usually they're pretty laid back. Sometimes they get feisty, especially if that cemetery or graveyard was vandalized at some point in time. So 9 times out of 10, you have to remember they're not necessarily people. They're usually entities or even cryptids, if you want to kind of put them in that label. But sometimes they'll interact. Usually they don't. 9 times out of 10, they don't with me, unless they're telling me to stay on the path. Don't you get up. I'm like, okay, geez. So 9 times out of 10, they're not, it's a little bit harder because again, they're more cryptid. They're not like people that have died that are guarding it, if that makes any sense. Yeah, if there's ways to lessen chances of Alzheimer's, number 1, control your sugar. So number 2, heavy metal detoxes, highly recommended. And number 3, life is not hard. You think it is. Life is not hard. So people that have dementia, Alzheimer's, feel that they have a hard life. They had to work hard. They had to play hard. Everything was hard. You had to earn it. You just had to get up early every morning. And I'm like, well, you can manifest it and not have to work so hard. But Alzheimer's or dementia to me is somebody who had a very hard life and they let go of that rigidity later in life and they kind of go backwards then. So they might be 80 when they get dementia or Alzheimer's, but then they go to 70 and 60 and 50 and 40 and 30 and 20 and 10. And they're like, hey, I saw my mommy and my daddy. And you're like, oh, okay. That's usually what ends up happening is they kind of recess. But as they're doing that, they'll release all of that crap. So that's why sometimes grandma's just nice. And then she gets dementia. She's like, get the hell out of here. You're like, oh, damn, grandma. So they're releasing that rigidity and hardness, which is, it's a good thing. You want to release it here, not there. Chronic inflammation, easy. Sugar is really, really bad. And I will tell you, I'm a sugar fiend. Okay. ADHD right here. But I have learned that I will reach for my fruit, blueberries, strawberries, watermelon right now is a big one for me. But that helps to curb the sugar cravings that I get. So those are legit. It hits your brain just like cocaine would. So it really, really does. So, but chronic inflammation and sugar go hand in hand. They're best friends. Lovely. Itchy scalp. So here's the deal with that one. When your crown is opening up, it does itch. It feels like you almost have fleas or like lice in your hair. And sometimes it even kind of hurts. So just understand that a lot of times that's just your crown chakra opening. I know that it's really kind of strange. Before I get up on stage and do a live audience reading, you would think I have issues with my hair because I'm in the back going like this because the top of my head's opening and my crown opens really far and it itches like mad. So like I said, a lot of times just your crown chakra opening. Parkinson's is for people who it's a trauma response to be extremely independent. And Parkinson's to me are people who help everybody else and they never ask for help. And then they end up getting Parkinson's and then they need help. And they don't like that either. But oftentimes people to me that have autoimmune issues, which to me Parkinson's qualifies for that. I don't know if it technically is or not, but for me it is. And they usually had a traumatic childhood growing up. So most autoimmune issues, they had trauma in their childhood. And if they have that autoimmune issue come out in the 20s or the 30s, they really had a difficult upbringing. What's the main issue of food allergies? High vibration. So here's the deal. Now that you're vibing a little bit higher because you're enlightened, low vibrational dead food, you will be allergic to. So, and that's preservatives, that's sometimes meat, especially pork, milk, things like that. So if it's not a living food, you're going to have a more difficult time digesting that because your body's just automatically going to want to purge it out because it lowers your vibration too quick. So it's going to try to get it out quick. So I will tell you that the higher you vibe, the more food allergies you're going to have. But also, we don't have real food anymore. You can go over to Europe and they don't have issues with the breads like we do here. So that's why everybody here is gluten intolerant because it's like fucking glue. You're eating this bread that turns into glue in your body. So, but over in Europe, doesn't happen. So, but until we start coming together as a society and demanding better food, that's when things are going to change. Because you guys know as well as I do, label reading is a joke. They will hide stuff in the food and call it something. So I think that it needs to be a lot more transparent. I think that food should absolutely be labeled more. And I think it should be the opposite, whereas man-made food should be more expensive than organic stuff. But again, until we start coming together and demanding that, they're just going to keep putting crap in our food. We have the worst food in damn near the world. And don't get me wrong, I mean, some people don't even have food, but our food has been manipulated so bad that people's tummies just aren't able to handle that. So yeah, I don't know. Most Native Americans are lactose intolerant. I'm very lactose intolerant. It's stupid because I like cheese. Lactate is fine. Kind of. Ask my husband. It's fine. So let's see here. La, la, la. Okay, Randy saying Sheenan's is from bloodlustering or after childbirth, and it blows out the hypothalamus pituitary, diagnosed 30 years later. That's still, though, not being able to be real and speak your truth. So again, hypo or hyper, still the same thing. It's kind of like Hashimoto's. It kind of groups it in that. It's just that it's difficult for you to let your guard down. It's difficult for you to be vulnerable. It's difficult for you to speak your truth. It's difficult for you to tell people no. So that's, in my guess, that's what that is relating to. Oh, hey, wait, what? Stop. Chronic inflammation is from too much sugar. Lots of sugar. High iron count. Your body isn't metabolizing right. There's something to do with your metabolism, because it kind of goes with metabolism, but yet just keep an eye on your white blood cells. It seems like the high iron count is a secondary response to something causing that, if that makes sense. And I'm like, we got to find out the root cause in that. But people that have blood issues usually work all the time and they don't play, and they don't like they feel like they're wasting their time if they're playing. So, what do I think about the CIA codes? You mean is it Gribonacci? Griboni? I can't pronounce that word. But yeah, they work. I've tried it. Crazy enough, it works. Why do people get corns on the bottom of their feet? Stubbornness. Mm-mm. They don't like change at all. No, they don't. They're because they haven't learned adaptability, and change is scary. Very bad anxiety. I want you to learn how to meditate. That's the number one thing I'm going to recommend for anxiety, because anxiety is you're constantly in your head about what if this, what if that, what if this, what if that, what if this, what if that. It's because you have no control over the future and you want control. That's really what it boils down to. And you're trying to control because of fear. Anxiety really is fear. And so I will tell you, I want you to learn how to surrender to it. You can't control other people. The only thing you are in control of is what you do, what you say, how you react, and what you think. That's it. Those are the only 4 things you are in control of. You need to learn how to surrender and learn that God's never going to give you more than you can handle. And you don't need to worry about a damn thing until it comes to your doorstep. So, because otherwise you're just going to put yourself into adrenal fatigue. You're going to be tired. You're never going to be balanced. Everything, like I said, anxiety is how people get sick. especially over a long period of time. Do our loved ones miss us in heaven? No. I wish I could say they do. They don't. They get to visit you whenever the hell they want to. We miss them. They don't miss us because they're around. Mm-mm. Any advice on how to regulating hormones? Check your thyroid. First and foremost, make sure that's a-okay. Number two, anybody that has like POTS, endometriosis, things like that, usually it is because your dad was not around between the ages of 10 and 14, and your dad was not a huggy, kissy person. You knew your dad loved you, but he just didn't really say it. So a lot of times when girls have hormonal issues, if it's not the thyroid, then we have to look at your relationship with your father. Tracy, this is another one. Like I said, with menopause, nutrition is going to be key. Your body is absolutely changing. Your mind is going to change. Everything's going to change. The other thing I would have you look into, nicotine patches. Nicotine patches. Tori, this is a valid question. Why don't you eat nonstop? You hate it. You want to know why? Because it's comfort. So I'm guessing that you had a mother or a grandmother that whenever shit hit the fan, she was like, you know what, let's sit down. Let's have some cake and talk about it. Let's have some brownies and talk about it. Food was your comfort. So when things feel out of control for you, food is where you go for comfort. So, and I'll tell you what, go ahead and eat. Just don't have any negative emotions when you eat. If you're eating a bag of chips, don't sit there and be like, oh, I feel bad for eating a bag of chips. Here comes the guilt. No. You ate the bag of chips because you freaking earned it. So just make sure you're not eating with guilt. That's a big one. That's how it sticks to your butt. So eat the damn bag of chips because you earned it today. Had a bad day, I don't care. Sit down and eat that bag of chips. You earned it. Nothing wrong with that. So yeah, nicotine patches. Now here's the deal. You're not addicted to nicotine. You get addicted to the tobacco. So you won't be addicted to nicotine patches. But I'm going to tell you, don't start with a full one. My God, take it in half or even a fourth to see how it does for you. Especially for people, again, menopause, perimenopause, and autoimmune. They're finding very, very good results with that. Chronic hair breakage. Vitamins, vitamin E especially, probably some D and B's in there. So like I said, you're one of them, like vitamins, and not necessary for hair and nails, just an all around one. Just getting here, but headaches in the front of the forehead last 2 days, Amber. So again, that's usually a perfectionism control issue. So headaches to me are always about control. And so biggest thing I'm going to tell you is relinquish control. So number 2, hydrate. So, but here's the deal. If you're having pain right here, and especially like right here on the right side, or directly back here, kind of down the neck, that very well could be from your third eye. And if that's the case, get a crystal like dark blue, like lapis lazuli or something like that, a dark blue crystal, put it in your pocket, or maybe even put it underneath your pillow. A lot of times that's going to help to kind of stabilize it a little bit so it doesn't go open, closed, if that's the case. So it's going to be one of those two things, but definitely hydrate, because sometimes headaches are just dehydration too. That's a great question, Amy. Autoimmune issues that follow generations. Again, if your mom picks a terrible husband, it's probably because she learned that from her father, which her mother picked a terrible husband, and then her mother also picked a terrible husband. So like I said, is it generational or is it a choice? And it's a learned behavior. So now some things are absolutely generational or genetic. That's a little different. But for me, a lot of times I have to break this down and go, is it really genetic or is it a learned behavior? Because again, how are you going to know what a positive relationship is if you came out of your parents who had a completely dysfunctional, messed up marriage? How are you going to know what a normal marriage looks like? You'd have to do the complete opposite of it, but even the opposite of it would feel strange and foreign to you. Yeah, how to get more patience? Meditate. Meditate and also understand that people understand this. And I think I got 300 people watching right now. Enlightened people have to deal with unenlightened people. Unenlightened people are going to lose their shit, especially in September and October. You think people are dumb a-holes now? Oh, just wait. It's going to get worse. There is going to be more of a split. And I've been saying this for a few years. Now you're starting to see the split between enlightened people and unenlightened people. And unenlightened people, remember, we used to be unenlightened too, but also understand, not your job, not your circus, not your monkey. God, would you just help that one? Because I don't want to. Please let them see the light. In the meantime, I'm going to go over here and forgive their ignorance. Meditation helps. Like I said, you're gonna start seeing some, like, the audacity. The audacity. It's gonna get thick, especially in September and October. Like I said, pick your battles wisely. Half the time I don't, because again, they're just ignorant. They don't know. Bless their heart. Wow. Let's see here. Advice on learning more, trusting your intuition while battling ADHD, which I'm recently diagnosed. Hey, welcome to the clan, Chris. So I'll tell you what, you are who you are. And I think people that are autistic or have ADHD or ADD or neurodivergent, we have that gift for a reason. We're supposed to think differently than everybody else. God made us different for a reason. Your job is to figure out why. So usually it's to help people, plants, animals, or like humanity or the earth. So one way, shape, and form. So, but I'll tell you what, it's a good thing. And I'm going to tell you, your intuition will feel like your imagination. So you guys don't have imagination anymore. You have intuition. It feels like your imagination. And if it feels like your imagination, I'm going to tell you to trust it. Weird as that is. So, but I'll tell you, you start trusting it, cool things happen. How do you help an unenlightened spouse that's starting to understand but not quite there? Be patient, patience, 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 patience. Here's the deal. You can't force somebody on their journey. You can't make somebody become enlightened. You don't have that power. Only God's source energy does. So the biggest thing I'm just going to tell you, be patient. Just be patient. You do your thing. They're going to do their thing for a while. That's okay. So like I said, if they start asking questions, obviously we're going to help them out. But like I said, you can't force their development any faster. Darn it. So spiritual artists, or politics, consume because that I'm very liberal. So they talk freely in front of me, but I usually have to keep my mouth shut. What do you do? You know what? Here's the deal. I pick my battles wisely. Politics is not one of them. I'm like, I will play dumb. I'm like, So yeah, that's why I'm like, there's certain things I don't really talk about. And that's one of them. So because I have seen families get destroyed over the last 10 years because of politics. I've seen friends that have been friends for years and they have a simple disagreement on politics and they never speak to each other again. And I'm sorry, that's absolutely wrong in my book. But to each their own too. But personally, I just keep my mouth shut. Like I said, to each their own. We're all gonna have different opinions. That's what makes coming into this world kind of cool. So, but you learn from the opposite person of you. So I'm always willing to listen to their point of view. Whether I agree with it or not, it's irrelevant. I'm still going to listen to your point of view because who knows, maybe I'll learn something different. Let's see. So, Sarah, that's a great question. You've recently started seeing images of the corner of your eye. You just say, thank you. Should you engage more? First thing I would tell you is when you see that, make it very clear. If you are for my highest good, you can stick around. If not, you must leave. So second time, if they're still sticking around, try to stare at the ground and ask them to come a little closer. So, because again, I don't want you talking to some dude who died on the Mormon trail that just wants to chat. Like, nah, no, I want to make sure this is somebody that's for your highest good, that you can maybe practice with a little bit. So, but again, if I'm going to see spirit or sense spirit or hear them or whatever, the first thing I am is like, if you're for my highest good, you can stick around. If not, beat it. So, and if they leave, great. So, but usually they don't. Usually they're going to hang around. My house is pretty protected, so it's a rare bird if I hear anything in my own home. I usually don't, because I don't do readings here. I do them at work. So I absolutely have a separation between my home and my work. I have to, otherwise I'd go insane. So that usually, like I said, if we see them on the corner of your eye, right away, if you're from my highest good, you can stay. If not, you got to go. And if they're still around, stare at the ground, ask them to come closer. You can say it out loud or in your mind. Either way, they'll hear you. And then see what happens. So, but usually they'll move and you'll be like this and you'll get startled awake and then you're like, damn it. So, but it just takes a little bit of practice. And there's a difference in being startled and scared. So if you're scared, we're not communicating. End of discussion. Get the hell out of here. Get the sage. Whatever we got to do, get them out. So, but depends. So why does it feel like something is gonna happen? It always does, not right away, but at some point. Yep. So welcome to my world. I will tell you that if you're seeing replicating numbers like 1111 or 222 or your birthday or things like that, you're just as intuitive as I am. The only difference, I've had more practice. That's the only difference. So that just tells me that you're claircognizant. You don't know how you know, you just know. So that's claircognizant. That's an actual ability. Same with clairaudient, is the ability to see spirit, but we don't see them with our eyes. We see them as pictures or images in our head, kind of like a movie. If you're clairaudient, you'll hear people talking to you, but usually it's going to be in your own voice and you're going to be like, did I just have a conversation with myself? Usually that's how it kind of starts. Or you hear your name being called, or you hear people talking in another room, or music in a different room, or even like church bells and things like that. So, and then the other one is clairsentient. That is the ability to feel other people's energy. Empaths are big clairsentient people. And then the last one is clairgusticent or clairalient, which is the ability to taste or smell. So there's 5 human abilities. Well, there's 5 psychic ones too. I'm just the weirdo that has all 5, but I guarantee you have one. And I'm going to tell you, perfect what you know. The other ones will come, but you got to perfect what you already know. Like I said, Juanita, it sounds like you're naturally claircognizant. And claircognizant people, it's kind of like, we know something's brewing. We don't know what, but we know something's brewing. That's claircog. And yeah, you can absolutely be more than one. So some people have 3, some people have 2. That's why I like Enlightenment Academy, because by the time you're done with EA1, you're going to know your number 1 ability and your number 2 ability. So that way you can start practicing those right away. And I give you really good examples on how to practice this. So that's what Enlightenment Academy is all about. So I do that in December is my next Enlightenment Academy. So I love it when that shit happens. Pump gas stopped at $22.22. Yeah, I did that the other day with my bug. I did 33 and it stopped right at like $33 and it was like 30 cents. Of course, I'm gonna go to my 3s. And then I'm just thinking, the next person needs to see it. So, yes, this is a great question. Is it weird that this feed is evoking odd emotions, like you want to burst out in tears? Yes, it's normal. And I'm going to tell you what, get it out. What it is it's probably a subconscious release of some shit that you need to let go of, and you don't even know why you want to let it go. Oh my good, get it out. So I know some people that find me irritating. So like I said, I'm not those aren't my people. So, but a lot of times people feel like they always want to cry around me, or like they want to hug me a lot. So, and I'm not a hugger. So, I mean, just because if you touch me, I got your red and it's just uncomfortable for me. That's why. So yeah. But I'll tell you, it's weirdly normal. Some people also feel like sometimes when they go to church, they feel that way too. So that's why I'm like, just get it out. There's a reason. Is that also the feeling of pain close to? That's an empath. That's clairsentient. Yes. It's kind of like your mom comes in. She's like, oh, I hurt my knee. And you're like, oh yeah, you did hurt your knee. And they're like rubbing their knee. I'm going, your knee isn't hurt. It's your mama. But they're like, oh yeah, my knee hurts. So, but that's a clairsentient ability. I will tell you that, For me, that is my least ability, because I don't want to feel your pain. I don't want to feel your emotions. I'd rather not. Claircog is my number one. I don't know how I know, I just know, but there's no feelings or emotions in that, which for me makes it a lot easier. Yeah. Brain lesion, neurological issues, bunch of other things. I will tell you that your number one issue is control. So, and let me know if I'm wrong, but anything within the brain is people that have the tendency to have OCD. They like repetition. They do not like change. Everything is micromanaged. Everything must have its place. It's a kind of it's a fear response. But 9 times out of 10, when I see neurological issues, brain lesions, things like that, it is somebody who is wound up tight, big time worrier with perfectionism issues. So, and you can let me know if I'm wrong on that one, Hillary, but that's where I'm like, 1, I want you to meditate. Number 1. Number 2, I want you to learn the art. And I say it's an art. I want you to learn how to surrender and understand you are not in control of a damn thing. God is. The only thing, again, you're in control of is what you think, what you do, how you respond or react. So that's a big one. What if you meet a new love on 88 Lionsgate? Well, I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. Are astral spiders a real thing? I don't know about astral spiders, but if you're seeing spiders in an astral state, usually that has a lot to do with issues with your mother. Or you're dealing with issues with your mother currently and you're trying to solve those problems. That's not always a bad thing. It could be that you're currently working on that. Same, yeah. How do you keep your sister from reading you? Here's the deal. I will tell you, I can't read family. Like you would think I would be able to. No, I can't. So what I would tell you though, Carrie, is literally before you see her, put yourself in a bubble and say to her in your mind, you do not have permission to read me. And here's the deal. No one has permission to read another person without their consent. That's rude. That's mean. That is not moralistically or ethically right. It's just not. It's not. I have my own shit. I don't need to read yours. So, but that's, again, this is where I don't read people if I am not asked. I don't even give people advice unless I'm asked anymore because I'll get my freaking fingers bit. So, but like I said, it's not right unless she has your permission to do it. That's one thing. But before you see her, absolutely put up that boundary and just kind of say it in your mind's eye. Just like, I'm sorry, but you do not have permission to read me. So, and you'll know if she's coming up with some BS then after that. Is Reiki really do no harm? Well, it's no different than reading somebody. You simply treat people the way you'd want to be treated and you're going to be just fine. That's truly it. Now, here's the deal. I will send people loving, healing energy. I am a Reiki master. So I do send people loving Reiki energy. And I was told by the person who gave me Reiki that that is inappropriate to do and that you should get their permission. And I'm sorry, I feel I don't agree with that because it's no different than a prayer. I'm going to pray for you whether you ask me to or not. And if it falls on deaf ears, so be it. It's no different than me sending you loving, healing energy. If you accept it, great. If you don't, it's no sweat off of me because I'm still doing it in a positive intent. So Reiki, reading people, whatever we choose to do, as long as you treat people the way you would want to be treated, you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong. So, and I'm big in that. I really am. So, let's see. Let's see. Going through an awakening 2 years, EDM concert mushrooms helps you feel and see things opened up more. What should you do next? Biggest thing I'm going to tell you is it's really hard when you do something like that to come back to reality and still try to be here and spiritual at the same time because you got kind of a basically you got kind of a sneak peek, and then you have to come back to reality. And that sneak peek is really nice. And you're like, how do I stay here? I'm like, that takes a lot of work. And to me, mushrooms and peyote and ayahuasca, sometimes you get that sneak peek, but then you have to come back to reality, and it's really difficult. So number one, got to learn how to meditate. That's a big one. You guys are going to hear me say this a lot, because meditation is baseline foundation. You have to learn how to control your thoughts so your thoughts don't control you. Okay. Number two, get some goals, because your goals are going to help you to identify who you are. And if you don't know who you are, how are you supposed to know your life purpose? And so this is where I'm going to tell people, follow your curiosity. If you don't know what your purpose is, follow your curiosity. But it will help to identify who you are if you know maybe what goals are. That usually helps. Let's see. Sorry, I'm just looking at questions, or more statements and questions. Kim, I'm going to address this one really quick. Will things get better with your ex? He continues to emotionally abuse you and your children. I'm so exhausted from all of it. My question is going to be going to you. Why do you allow it? I would never allow somebody to emotionally abuse me or my children. It is my job as a mother to protect my children from negative influences. And if that means I go back to court with recordings, so be it. Number two, don't allow it. The minute he starts doing that, stop the conversation, walk away, because you're looking at this still with feelings like he cares about you. He doesn't give a shit. He cares about money, power, and control. The problem is you care, and you shouldn't. And you need to start looking at this as a business transaction and not a personal one. And the second thing is you must protect your children. And that should be at any and all cost, because your kids are the ones that are getting kicked into the ground by him. My question is, why do you allow it? You can play victim. You can only play victim so long before you start being like, that will no longer be allowed. And if that means that we need to exchange those children at the cop shop, so be it. If that means that we need somebody around to make sure as a third party that these kids, that happens, so be it. So I would not allow that foolishness around my children. Absolutely not. Easier said than done. I'm fully aware of that, but I would do whatever it takes to take care of my children. This is a good question. Nicole, father recently passed, estranged for 20 years, no service, best way to get closure. This is hard, because a lot of times when there is a service, we can start to have a little bit of closure. Understand this. They're always regretful about not having closure here. Usually those are the ones that will come step forward in a reading, and they'll be in a bowed state. And they usually then at that point admit that they did wrong. So it's going to help, Nicole, if you look at how your dad was raised, and also understand that he will never, and he could never see things from your perspective. You may be able to see things from his perspective, but he would never be able to see them from yours. And once you really break this down and look at it, you'll be able to forgive him for his ignorance, for what he didn't know. And that then will help with that healing journey. And that's then how we get closure. Old boss reached out. Washington, D.C. after you moved back to Oklahoma, he has a job. Wouldn't be that. I will tell you, Patty, that you wouldn't be offered a job if you weren't ready to take it. I'd maybe look into that. So tingling on the top side of the head, that's all your crown chakra opening. It also could be kind of associated with that third eye too. So a lot of times that has a lot to do with the third eye or the crown chakra opening. And I will tell you, just as of recently, a lot of people have been coming to me complaining about like headaches right here, blurry eyes, ear ringing, a lot of fuzziness, a lot of dropsies, discombobulation. If you're experiencing that, ground, ground, ground. I mean, take your damn shoes off, go pick up dog poop in the yard, do it, pull weeds, I don't care, but get your feet to earth. It's really, really going to help to move that energy down so it's not so stuck all right here. Otherwise, you're like, la, 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 you just kind of get airy-fairy, and then you're not going to get your shit straight. So that's the easiest way I can tell you, is that when you have all of this stuff kind of going on, get outside. So a lot of eye issues right now, and that's because the third eye just kind of got really popped open. I don't know if it's because of the meteor shower or the solar flare or the combination of both, but right now, that's when everybody's intuition right now, spot on, spot on. Pay attention to it. Pay attention to it. Starting to do readings and feel bad for charging. Don't want it to be money driven. Then don't. Then don't, Joe. So, or Sherry, whoever I'm talking to. Listen, here's the deal. I have to charge because I have bills to pay, and this is my full-time job. So I know a lot of people are like, well, if you had this ability, you do it for free. I do help a lot. I just don't tell other people about it. Like, I help a lot of people. But I do have to charge something, because at that point it's even energy exchange. I help you, you help me. That's how this stuff works. But I know a lot of people, if they want to, if they don't feel good about charging right out the gate, then don't. Then don't. It's okay, because maybe you want to get some more practice in before you start charging. Or a lot of times when I first started, people would bring me food. So they're like, well, I don't have any money, but I got a pie. I'm like, I'll take it. I'm like, that's even energy exchange to me. It doesn't always have to be money. It could be goods and services too. That's okay. Again, vertigo out of the blue, ground. Eye twitching, ground. So you're going to hear that, because like I said, all this energy is locked up right here, right now. So the third eye is open, the crown is open. And if you are not used to that energy, it's a little funky. So that's why I'm like, feet to earth. You're going to hear me say this a lot, because we all want to open up our third eye and our crown. I'm like, they're open, but your root chakra isn't. And you're just going to topple over as soon as things get a little difficult, just like a tree does. So you got to root down. You got to ground really hard. And grounding also helps with anxiety. It really does. So like I said, really get your feet to earth. It's going to help out a lot. Oddly emotional at this time. Nicole, it's normal. Get it out. So you're going to feel like you're going crazy. You really are. So it's going to feel like 1 minute you're happy, sad, bitter, angry, happy, sad. And you're like, what the fuck is wrong with me? I'm like, it's normal. It's okay. Just get it out. So it's subconscious releasing. Your subconscious is letting things go at a rapid pace, faster than your brain can kind of comprehend. So I'm like, it's not a bad thing. Don't assume it's a bad thing. It's not. So, what will it take to have a full family healing? Therapy. Therapy, and people have to be willing to take accountability. If people are not willing to take accountability, then nothing will happen. Because when you take accountability, you're basically saying, I'm sorry, I'm recognizing that I hurt you. I'm also recognizing that I made a mistake. And I'm also letting you know I won't make that mistake again. And I think a lot of people have issues with taking accountability, because it's easier to blame somebody else or play the victim, like, oh, not my fault. That's old school thinking. That's not enlightened thinking. And it's going to be very difficult if you have unenlightened people and enlightened people in one family. That's not easy, because usually unenlightened people have a very difficult time taking accountability. So, and saying, I'm sorry, or I love you, or, things like that. So, how long per day should you ground? 10 minutes. So I know sometimes when we start to get a little bit colder outside, if you can get your back up against a tree, that counts too. I really like hugging a tree. You'll hear me say it's legit. But if you put your back up against a tree, especially in the fall, what happens in the fall is trees are taking all of their energy and pulling it down. So I love fall for grounding, because it really will ground you. And even taking a few little steps in a forest will clear your mind and provide you with solutions faster than just about anything else will. Water can do it too. Water will do it too. So why are you feeling always tired, headaches all the time, blurred vision? Again, ground. feet to earth, ground, and make sure that you're staying hydrated. So, because at this point, your body is vibrating at a higher frequency, it's going to require more water, more nutrition, and better food. That your body's going to absolutely kind of crave that. What Bible do I read? I will not do the King James version. I don't like him. Sorry. If you do any research on King James, he was not a good person. And actually, he wrote the book on Satanism first, and then he wrote a Bible. Fishy. So personally, I do the Geneva Bible. It's a little bit more difficult to read, but that's the one I have is the Geneva. What is it? 15. I can't even think of the time. 15 whatever Bible. That's the one I read. And I'll tell you, I'll encourage you to read a Bible now that you're enlightened. It'll make a hell of a lot more sense. I'm also going to encourage you to read the Apocrypha too. Now, the Apocrypha are a group of books that were never in the Bible. So it's such as like Book of Thomas, Book of Enoch, Book of Mother Mary, Book of Mary Magdalene, all those different ones. Good reading because it actually fills in the gaps of what's kind of left out in the Bible. How do you release negative energy and find peace? Meditation. I'll tell you, number one, I won't allow negative people around me. I just won't. If you're negative, I'm out. I want happy people around me, not negative, bitchy ones. Number two, I cleanse my house fairly often. Sage, palo, incense, bells, chimes, whatever floats my boat. And meditation, I do that every day. So I try to do that 15, 20 minutes every single day. So sometimes I got to get going in the morning a little bit quicker. Well, then I'll do it in the bathtub when I get home. So I am fully aware if you have children, how difficult that is, moms. And I'll tell you what, if you get a chance, bathtub for 5 minutes works. Then we got 5 minutes in the car and then we got 5 minutes over here. Hey, that counts. So it doesn't have to be 20 minutes all in one shot. Nope. I have heard about this. I have not listened to any, but everybody that I've heard loves it. So I have not heard Conversation of God series. I mean, I've heard of it, but I've never sat down and actually listened to it, but I've heard nothing but good things. Nothing but good things. I always tell people, one thing is that when you go through a spiritual awakening, you never question your faith. You will question your religion, but you won't question your faith. Heck, if anything, that increased a lot. It's one thing to know your connection to God source energy. It's a whole nother thing to feel it. Let's see. Hang on, this on vacay, eating breakfast with friends, woman grabbed you in the arm, said, I see sadness in your eyes. Started saying other stuff, literally scared the crap out of me. Some stuff was spot on, but still, I will tell you, I do not allow people to touch me. I won't, if somebody tries to grab me on my arm or like, hey, give me elbows. No, that's an energy transfer. I will not allow. If anybody touches me and they're like, oh, but let me tell you, and I'll tell you that does happen with me a lot where people want to touch me and they're like, oh, let me read you. And I'm like, first of all, I didn't give you permission. Second of all, you want to read me so I can validate who you think you are. This is an ego check for you. This isn't for me. You're not doing anything for me. And number 4, how dare you? Don't touch other people without their permission. You don't do that. That's just not right. So, and like I said, it's no different than me telling my kids, I'm not going to make my kids go hug somebody if they're like, no, that's an energy exchange. No. So like I said, I don't allow it in my world. I will shut them down really quick. Cause if you want to piss me off, that's a really quick way. I like that. I didn't give you permission. So I didn't. So, and I'm not going to validate if you're right or wrong. I won't do that. You can go find somebody else to do that with. So yeah, it's no different than you're pregnant. People are like, oh, let me touch your belly. I'm like, what is wrong with you? No, you don't even know me. Like, what am I going to come up to you and touch your butt and be like, oh, let me touch your butt because it's bubbly? Like, no, just no. was part of your event in Minneapolis. Thank you so much. Yes. So I am doing a live audience tour here early September, the first weekend in September. On that Friday, I'm going to be in Kansas City. I'm also coming to Grand Island, Nebraska, and Sioux City, Iowa. So I'll be heading out there in those directions. November, December, I'm still trying to figure out my calendar. But for right now, September and October, that's where I'm going to be. If you guys have any questions, just head to my website at psychickelly.com. All my info is there. Like all my events, all my workshops. So I've got all that stuff. I know that this Saturday is what I call Soul Circle Saturday. It's where my students from Enlightenment Academy have you guys come in and have my students will read you for free. They need practice. And blind readings are hands down the best way to develop abilities. So if you guys aren't doing anything Saturday, you happen to be in Omaha between 1 and 4, head in onto Awakenings, and like almost every half hour, we're bringing a group of people up. So, but yeah, I would tell you it's good stuff. And a lot of times the first couple slots are pretty busy. If you come in like 2 o'clock, that's usually the best time. Have I ever heard about like people coming sweaty around certain people? Yeah. I will tell you that if somebody's making me sweaty or kind of like shaky, that means to tell me that they're vibrating higher than me. That's a good thing. So otherwise, if I come around somebody and my stomach goes to the pit of my shoes, I'm out. I will not explain myself. I will not say, excuse me. I'm out. Eric introduced me to one of his ex-friends. And I'm like, oh, hey, nice to meet you. Immediately got that. And I looked at him and I'm like, I'm going to continue shopping. I'll see you in a bit. And I didn't say goodbye to him. I walked off. My husband was like, that was so rude. And I'm like, that is not your friend. That will never be your friend. That person will never enter into our home under any circumstances. That is a bad man. So turns out he was a bad man. So Eric just didn't know it. I could feel it. Everything in me told me to run. So I have drilled that into my girls. I really have. That I'm like, you don't owe anybody an explanation. If they creep you out, run. That is your intuition telling you, get the hell out of there. So, boof. Thinking about getting a puppy? I'll tell you that if you're thinking about getting a puppy, probably the right time. So I would say go for it. Absolutely go for it. Hang on one second. This real quick. Branch real quick. 20 ahead. Took me to the beaches. Find a pelican. We never did find one. Does this mean that was my spirit animal? It's either one of your spirit animals or it could be a sign from your mother. One of the two. Chicago, working on it. I'm working on it. I did go to Chicago, probably 8 years ago. Oh, geez, no, it's been longer than that. Let's be real, more like 10 years ago. How can you encourage your kids to explore their faith more and know that there's more than just the world to look forward to? You know, here's the deal. My ex-husband is Catholic, and he wanted to kind of raise them in the Catholic Church. I'm Lutheran. I didn't go to church as much as what he took them to church. I think they'll find their own way. Again, it's not so much the religion, it's the faith. And kids know faith. That is the one weird thing. Like they understand faith. What I do is it's kind of like if there's an emergency in the family, a lot of times my kids are like, we don't know what to do. And I'm like, pray. That's something you can do that does work. And it works every single time because God hears you 100% every single time. It never goes unnoticed. Prayers work. I swear they do, because God's like, oh, you're getting prayed for, or put a little angel right next to you and help you. So prayers work. They really do. Especially if you have an entire community praying for you. Those are the ones when they walk into my office, I have to ask your entourage to stay outside for a minute, or I'm not going to be able to do my job. So, and a lot of times if you have an entourage coming in like that, then we don't have to talk about psychic stuff. Clearly, we're going straight to mediumship. So, yeah, I'm the same as you, Nicole. I will leave public spaces if it's bad energy. I'm out. So the problem is sometimes I get confused and it gets kind of difficult. Let me give you an example. My husband and I went to go eat at this one restaurant, and I got very paranoid, horribly paranoid. I'm not a paranoid person. I even had a Captain and Coke to try to tap the hell out because I kept tapping back in as a protection mechanism. And so dinner got served and I was getting worse. And Eric's like, Cal, just eat and go to the car. I'm like, I am so sorry. Turns out that used to be a safe house for battered women. They were trying to run away from their husbands or horrible relationships. It's also up above was a place where they would put people for the witness protection program. So my feelings were valid, but it didn't help me with my date night and dinner. So yeah, there are certain areas and places that give you the bad heebie-jeebies. I'm out. People do it too. So I've just learned I don't need to question it. I don't need to investigate it. I don't even need to know why. I need to remove myself from that situation because that's the only thing I can do is I control me. Cindy, I would agree with you. Is insulin safe? Yes. Because for people who are insulin resistant or who can't produce insulin, actually that is one of the more safer ones as long as you're using it as directed. So my dad's a narcissist and led to the family to alcoholism. He will never admit guilt. Oh, no, he will never admit guilt. Do you have to sit and watch it happen? No, you don't. I'd turn your eye the other way because you can't help somebody who doesn't want to be helped. You can't rescue somebody who doesn't want to be rescued. And I would tell you that if he is an alcoholic, you have to look at his father because his father was probably a mean son of a bitch and he's never really dealt with that. If your mother is an alcoholic, it is because she has an abandonment issue by her father, her husband, her son, abandonment issues. So, but no, they will never admit guilt. They'll never admit that they're wrong. And I would tell you in this world, people are either service to self or service to others. And people that are service to self, you will never gain anything with having someone like that in your life, family or not. So that's where I'm like, I would absolutely have a boundary up with that person and don't take a damn thing personal because they ultimately do not care about you. They care about money, power, and control. That's it. That's it. It doesn't mean that you don't have to care for them. It just means that you need a healthy boundary. Don't take anything personal and understand the why. And the why really is because of how he was raised and not dealing with that. Hurt your right toe. Same when you had surgery on this winter. Coincidence? Nope. Nope. And I'm going to tell you, here's a book that I love. And if you guys don't have this book, I'm going to highly suggest you get it. Hold on one sec. Let me grab it because it's one of my favorites and I look at it all the time. So hang on. I got to get it. It's this one. It's this one. It's a thick book. Get it on Amazon. Okay. It's about $40 on Amazon. Not going to lie. Kind of expensive. This thing has love. This will tell you because each toe, each tooth, each vertebra in your back relates to an organ, relates to an issue. So no, it's not random. Absolutely. I will tell you there's no such thing as a coincidence. If you keep hurting that particular toe, we need to look that one up. And I'm going to tell you a lot of it has to deal with your husband or your father. Stubbornness. So, but I love this book. It's called Metaphysical Anatomy by Yvette Rose, Volume 1. Don't get Volume 2 or 3. Just stick with this one. So I love this book. I use it all the time. And it really breaks down the emotional reasons why people get sick. Big book. Love it. What happens when you pull the tooth? Is it bad for the organ? No, not but it is an indicator that we need to watch that organ. And that organ, I'm going to question, okay, which organ is it? Because what's the emotion behind it? What's the emotion that we need to fix? Because again, people don't get sick willy-nilly. Kidneys, a lot of times, are because you're looking at your family that you grew up in and you feel less than other people in your family, usually. Liver issues, anger. Skin issues, you don't feel comfortable in your own skin. So there's a lot of different reasons. But this, like I said, this book helps a lot. But ultimately, when you pull the tooth, no, it's not bad for the organ. What's bad is a root canal, because a root canal cuts off the circulation to your tooth. Therefore, nothing is going in that area and cleansing the bacteria. And if it hits your bloodstream, your brain is right there. That's never a good thing. So I will tell you that I would, for me personally, I'll pull the tooth before I get a root canal. So, because root canals are not, it's not good for the body. It's kind of like they're saying, oh, a little bit of fluoride is fine for you. No, it's not. It's a neurotoxin. No fluoride is good for you. And it's not good for children either. Why do you feel like you will be in a relationship? Well, then you will be. Then you will be. Husband's PSA. Hey, let's talk about this. So guys that have prostate issues are usually alpha military guys. They used to be cops. They used to be firefighters. They used to be in the military. And what that is a fear-based response. Let me explain. So when you are in constant protection mode, I got to protect my family from a threat. What you're doing is looking over your shoulder all the time at who might be a potential threat. Therefore, in a weird way, it's a fear-based response. And so, but they're also trained that way. So I want them to relinquish or let go of that protection mechanism. And you do that by telling them, I'm safe. I will call you when I get there. I'll be safe. Safety, safety, safety. But if a guy has PSI issues or prostate issues, it is usually because they're alpha military men, and it's a protection mechanism. And that's usually where it hits, is the prostate. Oh, Chris, you're funny. Hang on one second. This one says, crashed the four-wheeler into a hiding stump, broke your arm, flew off. Is this related to hubby and or daughter? Arms are about releasing or letting people go. Oftentimes I see ladies break their arms when kids start college, when kids start high school, when they need to let go of their kiddos, when they move out, and they don't want to let them go. So often it's, I'm going to ask you, what are you not letting go of when it comes to your kiddo? So, and if it's a child, it's kind of the same way. They're not willing to let go of certain things or aspects. I broke my arm a lot. This arm twice, this arm. I've heard somebody that's like, well, if you don't break any arms and you're more gifted, I'm like, no, just means you're less adventurous. Does sickness always have to do with what happened in your life? Not always. So you can get sick by sucking down some asbestos. So it can be environmental, black mold, asbestos, lead, things like that. So not always, but 90% of the time, yes. 90% of the time. So should you get remarried after a narcissistic, abusive, alcoholic marriage? I will tell you, the right person will come along. So I had to date and I had some good ones, don't get me wrong, but I had to date the bipolar, the alcoholic, the narcissist, the bipolar narcissist, the abuser. I had to date them all so I could recognize true unconditional love. So yes, I will tell you, you should, if the right person comes along. So, and what was really nice is that Eric was very patient. So, because I needed to work on some shit. I really needed to work on me. So I had to work on my codependency issue. I had to work on my control issue. I had a lot of issues I needed to work on. And I told Eric, I'm like, I'm not ready to date. He goes, that's fine. I'll wait. I'm like, what? So he did. Severed broken collarbones. Oh yeah, got one right there. Because, I was riding my Hot Wheel thinking that I was Wonder Woman and I could fly. I couldn't fly. I broke my collarbone. Let's talk about this. Not necessarily Lionsgate, But I did notice there's going to be a little bit of a window here. It should be closing up. But there's been a lot of people over the last 3 months that have crossed over, animals too. Basically they didn't sign up for this split here that we're experiencing. So just understand that they didn't sign up for it, and it was their time to go home, and that's okay. So, but I'll tell you that you don't have to, like, they're better off helping us from the other side than they are on this one. So that's not always a bad thing. So Dr. Spoon says, for your hot feet turn very tender to touch under the skin, doctors are baffled. We got to look at autoimmune stuff on that one. So, and my second question is, how is her relationship with her biological father? Where's dad in this? So, because weirdly enough, dad coming by very well could be her saving grace. Any crystals that help with OCD? I know rainbow fluorite definitely does. Usually I'm going to go with like rutilated gold quartz. Golden healer is probably a pretty good one. I think those combination of those three are pretty good. Selenite isn't too shabby for that one. So, but definitely rainbow fluorite, especially purple fluorite. If I had to pick one, go with purple fluorite. That also helps with dizziness and vertigo as well, is rainbow fluorite and purple fluorite. So, any other questions? Let's see here. My niece's granddaughter bought a new doll into my house that she found in an antique store. So is that energy in my house? If you saged it, it should be gone. But I will tell you, I don't like dolls. I don't like dolls, and I don't like mirrors. And I definitely won't buy something from an antique mall and bring it home. Dolls creep me the hell out. Anything with eyeballs. You can even ask my mom. She'd buy me a Barbie, and I would take the head off. And I'm like, I don't like eyeballs. I just never have. Teddy bears. Nope. I don't have any. I might have a bird, maybe an owl, but things with like actual eyeballs, no. So I could tell you, I don't know why, Sarah, to be honest with you. I don't know why I will not sleep with a mirror directly across from me. Hell no. If I go to a hotel and there's a mirror in front, I will put a blanket in front of it or take it off the wall. I can't sleep with a mirror in front of me. It gives me crazy, creepy dreams, and I don't like it. So, so yeah, that's when I can't tell you why exactly. They just creep me out. Yeah, your divorce relationship with dad is distant. So in order to heal her dad can come in as a hero. That's why I'm like, a lot of this has to do with her abandonment issue by her dad. So, and now would be the time that she needs him the most. And so do whatever you can, Heidi. I don't care if you have to freaking pay for it. So do whatever you can to get him involved in her life. She doesn't need to know what you're doing to get this to work. Just try to get it to work the best that you can. Like I said, I don't even care if you have to pay for therapy. Who gives a shit? Because it boils down to your daughter needs her dad. And that is the one medicine that's going to help heal her. Psychotic events due to PSD8 hospitalization. No, you won't have to forever, but you know what, Kathy, I'm going to tell you, look into hypnotherapy and look into EMDR, which I'm sure you're probably maybe doing some of this. But this is, you got to remember, this is Pandora's box, and it's layered, and we got to take off one layer at a time. So, and that's going to take a little bit of patience. Be patient with that one. It's just going to take a little bit of time. So, no, I don't think it'll be a forever thing. So, but that is a package that you have to unwrap for a while. Bible doesn't explicitly ban crystals, but it does warn against practices that place faith in objects rather than God. Yes. Where do you draw the line? Just understand crystals to me vibrate at a certain frequency. They're a stable frequency. Okay. So if your kidneys vibrate at 300 hertz and you have a kidney issue, but this crystal that you're holding vibrates at 300 hertz, if you put that crystal next to your kidney, it forces the kidney to vibrate at 300 hertz. Yes, it will help to heal the kidney. However, the secondary response is the emotion that you were holding on to, that negative subconscious emotion that you were holding on to will absolutely come to the surface. And when it does, you must heal it right then and there. Because if you bury it, that crystal will disappear or break. So it does, there are crystals. I mean, a lot of, there's breastplates made of crystals in the Bible too. But yes, I absolutely agree. You shouldn't put your faith in a damn thing outside of God's source energy. Absolutely agree with that. But there are tools that we can use that are going to help benefit us, usually in nature. So not pharmaceutical, nature. So because you have to remember the pharmaceutical company is based on nature anyway. So like, for instance, valerian root helps you to sleep. So they took the main ingredient that makes you sleepy and put that into Valium. They're just taking it from nature, extracting it and putting it in a pill form. Everything you need to heal your body is already in nature. God provided that for you. So, but the pharmaceutical company is going to tell you that's not true. The hell it ain't. They've been doing it for years. They just want you to pay for it. Any crystals for libido? Yes, look into fire quartz and red fire agate especially. So yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, gross. One doll had a gazillion eyes. Oh, but I got a match. You're arrested for arson. Rightfully so. I don't care. It had eyes. So, but like I said, this is a great book. If you guys don't have this book, I'm going to highly suggest you get it. Like I said, it's called Metaphysical Anatomy. Big, thick book, $45, worth every penny. Really is. This is 95% of crap ailments that you might have are going to be in this book. So I'm going to, like I said, I'm going to put a pause on it. It's 8:30. And my husband and I do this thing. I'll just tell you guys, my husband and I do this thing every night. It's the sun's about ready to set, but we will sit and watch the sunset and actually talk about our day and about our plans and our goals. We're trying to get back to the basics, and I'm loving it. Now that the kids are gone, we're trying to figure out we're getting back to the basics again. So he's just like, well, don't be out there too long, because we got to watch the sunset. We got to chat about some stuff. I'm like, okay, I'll try to hurry. So, but want to thank everybody for watching. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, head to my website, psychickelly.com. My deep dive discussion is for my high vibe members tomorrow. So my deep dive discussion is when I talk about conspiracy theory stuff, because I can't talk about it on here or I'll get banned. So that is tomorrow night. The deep dive discussion is. And then I do have a workshop next week with shadow work and the dark night of your soul. So that one is both via in person and virtual. And then this Sunday night, I've got one hell of a live sale, and I've got all new items, and they're really freaking cool. So I've been kind of posting them here and there a little bit from little sneaky peeks, but I got some really cool stuff for Sunday night. So if you guys have an extra moment, like I said, chime in. 7 p.m. till about 9:30 is usually how long I go. But right now I have about 100 items, but they're all new items, and they're not on the sales floor at Awakening. So a lot of them are like, butterflies on stands or moons on stands, really cool stuff. So but you guys get a chance, like I said, Sunday morning, but my website has everything you need. I just got a new website launch. So if there's some glitches, please let me know. We're still working through some glitches, but it's a brand new site. It's going to load so much faster. And I should have a lot less crashes with this one too. So I have a girl that really helped me out, and she's wonderful. So want to thank everybody for watching. Like I said, have a wonderful evening. And like I said, it's go time. It's green light for everything. If you want to rock the boat, now is the time to rock the boat, especially before eclipse season. So, but this is some good energy here. Don't waste it on your phone. Put your phone down and go back outside and play, especially ground. It's going to help. All right, guys, take care. Bye. I'm going to shut it off. I don't know how.